So here's the thing. India has had several high-end states, and I'll give you examples of this. The very first high-end state where you see an extraordinary rigidization and commonality of weights and measures of circumference of building rules, building codes, and things like that is Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The kind of standardization of weights and measures, of brick sizes, of construction techniques and things like that that you see is unparalleled. It is at a time when Egypt, when pre-dynastic Egypt was still consolidating, when pre-dynastic Mesopotamia was still consolidating, you had this empire that was almost 5-6 times the size of Egypt, that had consolidated, that was built for the greater common good. It wasn't a palace economy. Unlike Mesopotamia and Egypt, which depended on palace economies, this one wasn't a palace economy. It was actually a public economy, very unusual for the time, because Bronze Age civilizations were all palace economies. You have this state here. The next iteration of this that you have is the Maurya Empire, which happens the same time when China is creating its first state, which is the Qin Empire under Qin Shi Huangdi. That's the same guy who built all the terracotta warriors and things like that in Xi'an. And yet you see the Maurya Empire reach that point of collapse within 2 generations. You have Chandragupta Maurya who creates it. And you have to look at this as a process, because the Nanda Empire before it was also an extremely large and powerful centralized state. Of course, the Maurya Empire took it to its natural conclusion. Ultra-capitalist under Chanakya, under Chanakya's tutelage of Chandragupta Maurya, and then Bimbisara. And then it all collapses because of the socialism of Ashoka. You see the collapse of the Mauryan Empire happen within the space of 20 years during the lifetime of Ashoka. Right? Then you come back to low-end states. Now you have several empires, but remember...
Let me come here. So what you're saying, I agree. The Harappans were high-end states. So, but my point is the pan-India high-end state, we never had it. The Mauryans were not...
The Mauryans are the closest we came to it.
But pan-India, but not high-end state, because they were not directly controlling the southern parts of India or the northwestern. They would have a centralized bureaucracy.
So when we say pan-India, we're talking about the majority of India, not the all of India.
Yeah. But they were not because beyond the Vindhyas, right? That's my point. Directly.
They did actually. They did go beyond the Vindhyas, because Shravanabelagola in Karnataka is definitely part of the Mauryan Empire, because that is where Chandragupta Maurya retires to commit Salekhana, right?
Let me come. They are ruling most of India. They are a pan-India state, but they are not a high-end state, because they're not collecting taxes from the southern parts. They're not collecting taxes from Gujarat directly.
I would disagree, because they didn't have vassals. They appointed direct imperial rule. Okay, direct imperial rule is the clearest case of a high-end state. As opposed to most of the other empires that used to have vassals and feudal subsidiaries, which is why the Guptas cannot be considered a high-end state. The Satavahanas, despite having a huge empire, were not a high-end state. The Choras were not a high-end state. They had huge empires, but they were not high-end states, right? China produced a succession of high-end states. India never did. You had Harappa, then you had the Mauryans, and then you had nothing till you come to the Mughals.
And between Harappan and Mauryan, there's almost 1,000, 1,500 years gap.
Yeah, there's about 1,500 years. And then between the Mughals and the Mauryans,